What's up guys, Tea Party Jackson here, and here we are for another guide, and this is one of the first guides after the CVT, actually the first one, and there will be much more. So while we are waiting for the next OBT to happen, I'm gonna provide you guys with a lot more guides, and I hope that will be helpful and you can just jump into the game as soon as the OBT starts. So in this guide, we're gonna talk about that system and the CCs. It's a kind of tricky topic. You will understand why later. It's different from other MMOs. But before we do that, I kind of want to have like a few minutes time to discuss about the current situation and kind of like about the game itself. I think a lot of guys kind of misunderstood the focus of the game. If you watch my stream guys, you know that this game gives you a lot of freedom. You can pick what you want to do to get where you want to. For example, you can do PvP and get your gear and have fun if you're a PvP player. You can do PvE like Guardian Raids, Chaos Dungeons and other dungeons and gear up that way. You can also explore stuff or like just level up your life skill and get your gear by doing that. So this game has not only one focus. That's really important that you understand this. Because of that, there is a problem. A problem which we know from similar MMOs, don't want to name them, but you will know what I mean, with the same genre. The problem is the balance. So balancing out classes for PvE and PvP and to satisfy everyone. I can tell you that is nearly impossible. You can't balance every class, like 12 classes, which we have at the moment, for PvE and PvP. That's why in one of those interviews, when Smilegate was asked about balancing, they answered with that they don't intend to balance every class for every situations. It's intended that some classes are strong, kind of have strength in PvP or like strong in PvE. And there are some classes who are like mediocre in PvP and PvE. So basically, if you choose a class, you also choose your playstyle kinda. But now you will tell like, whoa, mate. If I want to play a certain playstyle, like just PvP, feels like kind of forced to play a certain class. Yeah, I kind of understand that, but also keep in mind there are 12 classes and 6 more incoming, which means for those kind of 3 categories, like I don't know, PvP, PvE, or just explore, or like kind of mediocre and all with everything, you will have multiple options and multiple playstyles or classes to choose from. So that's okay, because I never expected PvP and PvE to be balanced in this game, and don't do that guys. Of course there can be like some patches and updates to fine-tune this and that to make it a little bit better, but there won't be like a perfect balance. And yeah, I know we are all gamers and you should keep that in mind too guys. There are guys who like certain stuff, most likely other stuff than you like, and it's not only about you. I know it's hard to understand, but for example, me, I kinda like PvP more than the other stuff. Which doesn't mean that I can expect Smilegate to satisfy just my expectations about PvP. Like, oh yeah, I want PvP to be best in this game. Everything else, I don't care. You can trash it if you want. That's kinda attitude which I don't know, I really hate that attitude, and I saw already some guys with that attitude in Reddit and Discord and whatever. So keep that in mind, and there are a lot of opinions, and that game really did a great job to, you know, to satisfy most of those things. You can't expect it to be perfect in every corner, and enjoy the game, how it is guys. As I mentioned, I have nothing against critics and like, you know, suggestions to make things better, but yeah, don't expect everything to be perfect. And don't be that guy who complains about everything. Okay, that's what I wanted to tell you guys before I jump into that guide. So I hope I didn't confuse you all and you can understand my point of view. As always, it's just my opinion, and I don't expect my opinions to be like 100% true. We can talk about it. You have the chat, you have me in Discord or on Twitch stream. Drop by, talk with me. If I'm wrong, change my mind, and I'm open to that. And I hope that you guys are open to that too. Just don't be narrow-minded guys. Now to the guide. As you can see in this picture, on the right side you can see the stats. Just telling you guys, the first stat which you can see is intelligence, and that's not the same obviously for every class. It's intelligence because you can see the stats here from a bard. So the main attribute is intelligent. Depending on which class you play, as I mentioned, it can change. For example, for Blaster it's Dex. So this is the main damage attribute which you have. The second one is Vitality. It explains by itself actually. It's gonna increase your max HP and HP regeneration. Now to the interesting part. Also, don't forget, most of your equip, actually every equipped part you have, like, I don't know, gloves, pants and so on, will have the two main stats, the intelligence and vitality one. And two, or maybe later with the higher equip even more, three, I don't know, but at all the equip I saw until now had two main stats and two substats, and the substats can be rerolled. So now let's talk about the substats. The first one is critical rate. Obviously, the more points you have there, the higher your crit chance. Second one is specialty, which gonna increase your identity skill damage and the identity god fill up speed. And it also increases in some cases the awakening skill damage. Just a short explanation, identity skills are the skills which you can see in the center. It is different for each class, like Blaster has the laser turret, the Hawkeye has his Hawk which he can summon, Bard has his Mega Shield, and Berserker has his Berserker mode. Basically it increases the charge speed of those identity skills and the damage. The awakening one, you should know that, like around level 43 or max level, you will get an awakening spell, and this one gonna increase the awakening skill damage too. The next stats in the list is harmony, which gonna increase your elemental damage and resistance, which means if your skill is morphed to a certain element like fire, ice, lightning, it's gonna increase that damage and decrease the elemental damage on yourself. Keep in mind that those things like elemental damage and resistance only boost or reduce the damage from elements, so it's not about magic damage reduction in general. Next, we have Swiftness. Swiftness is gonna increase your movement speed, attack speed, and skill cooldown. Actually, it means skill cooldown reduction. There's nothing much to explain about those. I think everyone knows what that's gonna do. So the next stats we have in the list is Endurance, which gonna increase your physical and magical defense. So as I mentioned, magical defense is something different than elemental defense or damage reduction. I can tell you that because at some point with my Blaster I stacked only crit and defense. With that I took actually a lot less physical damage, but I had the feeling that I still took a lot of magical damage. I thought like magic and elements are all together, but I was wrong. So I still got like damage reduction on just magic spells which weren't element based, but most of the spells from, I don't know, summoners or certain classes had elemental morphs. So I took the full damage, or kind of like more damage than I expected. And at the end of the game, or at the end of the beta, I changed my stats and put a lot of points from defense to elemental resist, or actually harmony, and I took a lot less damage from burns and I don't know, fire, ice and lightning, but of course I took more damage from physical attacks. So that's how it works. Last but not least, the stat which we have at the end is proficiency, which gonna increase the effectiveness of your CC and reduce the effect of CC on you, which means it's gonna increase the CC time from your CC spells on the enemy, and if you get CC'd, it's gonna reduce their CC timer on those. It's a nice stat to have for PvP, for example. You're gonna get a lot of debuffs, it's gonna reduce those timers, and that will help you to survive a lot longer. But proficiency also increases impairing damage, which is really important against boss fights to reduce the purple bar and get the boss to the weakened state. I'm gonna explain that stuff in a different videos, I think in the Guardian guide videos, so I won't go further into the details here. All the stats which I just explained, they split it up in like different stats. You know, like endurance is kind of for physical damage, physical defense, magical defense. I also forgot to mention that endurance is gonna also increase your shield capacity and the healing received. Sorry guys, just saw that. But even those split up in more stats, guys. I'm gonna just go through the list of all the other stats which I didn't mention, but so that you just know there are more than those. Those stats can be increased by putting points in the substats, or like with runes you can increase certain stats. So we have their attack, attack power, weapon attack, elemental weapon attack, additional damage, attack speed, accuracy, crit chance, critical damage, physical defense penetration, magical defense penetration, bonus damage against human, demons, materials, undead, plants, insects, spirits, wild beasts, machines, ancients, gods, archdemons, abnormal status, duration, impairment, bonus damage, defense, max HP, physical defense, magical defense, physical damage reduction, magical damage reduction, evasion, critical resistance, fire resistance, water, thunder, earth, light, dark resistance, combat HP recovery, barrier effects, healing effect, abnormal status duration reduction, awakening damage, max MP, combat MP recovery, out of combat MP recovery, movement speed, mount speed, sailing speed, cooldown reduction, immunity to stun, petrify, freeze, silence, earthquake, fear, burn, slow, paralyze, vermin, sleep, confine, bleed, poison, curse, hold, break, defense immunity, dampen, and blind immunity. Oh my god. I won't explain each of those. Most of those, I think you will get it. And that's really important that you know there are more stats which you can increase with runes. Now that you got it, let's jump into the next topic, which is CC, like crowd control. Now you will see a beautiful picture on the screen. Take a few moments, appreciate my painting skills there, and move on. As I mentioned in the very beginning of the video, crowd control effects are not the same, or like not the same categories which you know from other MMOs. As you can see, they are split in two categories. The first one, hit effects. This category includes stagger, knock down, knock up, knock back, and pull. And of course, knock up, you can also call it floating. You can get immunity to those hit effects by choosing the right morphs in the skill tree or in the tripod system. That morph gonna look like the picture down below, a human body with a shield above him. If you have that morph, most of the time if you use that certain skill, you will be immune to those hit effects. Keep in mind that stun doesn't belong to those hit effects. Usually you would think, oh, stun should be also kind of like, you know, the same category. That's not the case. That's why I just explained you guys those two categories. Also keep in mind that most of the bosses and all the guardians are immune to those hit effects. Now to the second category, which is debuffs. Debuffs, other than the hit effects, you'll be able to see the debuffs as soon as you're affected by a debuff on the bottom screen. There will be a timer which will tell you how long that debuff gonna last. As you can see, stun, freeze, petrify, dots, curses, blind, and other stats reductions like, I don't know, armor down or attack down, speed down, those things belong to debuffs. Also keep in mind, those things are stackable. For example, blindness. I had at some point like up to 5 stacks of those. Each stack narrows your vision. With one stack you will be able to see like 90% of your screen, and with 5 stacks you can only see a small area around your character. Other than the hit effects, bosses can be affected by debuffs, but higher level guardians have higher level resistance to those debuffs. You can apply debuffs on them, but they can also resist it. Same goes for runes. You can use PvP runes or put runes in your equipment, which can increase the chance to resist certain debuffs. There is actually no rune or like no skill which gonna give you absolute immunity to debuffs. They're gonna just give you a certain percentage to resist those. For example, to fight against Hellgeyer, you need burn resist chance runes, fire damage decrease runes. So fire damage is an elemental damage, it doesn't belong to debuffs. But burn resist, burn is a debuff, and if you have, like, I don't know, a rune with 20% burn resist chance, then there is a chance, like 20%, if the boss applies a burn effect on you, that you will resist it. Okay, that's it, I guess. And at this point I want to thank two people, Eto and Crazy Merc Fan. They translated actually those stuff here for me and helped me to understand those things. And yeah, without them I wouldn't have those translated stuff here to show you guys. Thank you again, and also thank you guys for watching. And I hope it wasn't confusing as always. It was quite a long video, I expected it to be short, but you know, I didn't want to miss anything or forget to explain stuff. So it's okay, and I kind of want to promise you that my next videos won't be that long, but I think they will be long though. So as I mentioned earlier, I have a few guides prepared for you before the OBT hits, and I have to think about how to split them and what can I explain with which stuff together and so on. As always, if you have any questions to this guide, feel free to ask in the comments, and if you liked it, leave a like there. And you can also ask me the question on stream or on my Discord. Until the next guide or next stream, have a nice day guys, and see ya. Your Tea Party Percy. Bye bye.